So yeah, I'm actually gonna make this video.
You all said I was crazy, huh? Well, who's crazy now? Me. Crazy prepared.
Prepare to talk about Shira, that is. Let's go!
Yeah, there's a lot to say about Bruno.
Hello everybody, it's the Winged Unicorn here, and I have flown back. Now, today I'm going to talk about Shira again. And, admittedly, my last Shira video that I did about a year ago didn't do as well as I wanted it to, and, you know what, I'm not complaining. You know, probably wasn't a good time, probably wasn't... You know what, maybe it's because that video was really bad anyway, so I don't blame you guys if you probably haven't watched it. But, today I'm back again talking about Shira because I have changed opinions from last time, and as you can see from the title, and I want to talk about them because I feel like it's important to say it. And I don't know how much of you guys even watch Shira, but I assume many of you are DreamWorks fans, since, you know, my channel does have some troll videos, and they do get a decent amount of views. Well, at least some of them. And so I'm just gonna assume that my audience is mostly DreamWorks fans, and if you guys are, that means you probably are somewhat familiar with Shira and the Princesses of Power, and some of you guys probably have even watched it, which makes it even better for me. So today I'm gonna talk about something very controversial and probably is gonna make a lot of people angry. So today I want to talk about how Shira and the Princesses of Power, the show itself, is not only problematic and a bad show, but also how Catradora itself is probably the worst part of the show, and in itself is problematic as well. Alright, so what I am happy about the opinion that I just said is that more and more people are starting to realizing it before as I speak. So at least, you know, some people actually do realize, but I feel like not a lot of people on YouTube have talked about it, and you know, I feel like it'd be nice to talk about how messed up the show is after looking back at it. And you know, I just want to talk about Shira again. So yeah, let's talk about Shira. So, but before I do, I might as well talk about what made me come to this realization of how bad this show is. So yeah, let's talk about it. If you guys have been keeping up with me, you would know that I have made a little brief announcement that I have a TikTok. So that actually gave me an advantage because it gave me more like a different platform to see like a different side to a certain fandom, which is in this case Shira. And when I went through my for you page one day, I came across this account, and it's called Catradora Deserves Better, and another one that I forgot the name of, but I'm gonna post it on the screen so then you guys can find them yourself, just in case if you want to check them out yourself. So I came across these two TikTok accounts, and the thing about these TikTok accounts that caught my eye was, of course, the names of the accounts themselves. Like, it said Adora Deserves Better, and honestly that kind of caught my eye for a glimpse, so I decided to check the account out. And I'm not even exaggerating, pretty much both of those accounts actually were dedicated to slandering Catra, the character, and basically the whole show in general. And I thought it was an interesting dive when I did look on those two TikTok accounts on that day. It really did wake me up to realizing how bad the show is and how messed up Catradora is. And honestly, these accounts are amazing, and if you have TikTok, I highly encourage that you guys check them out, because they really do think about this kind of stuff. They really do know their stuff. So yes, definitely go check them out. I think it's worth your time to do so. So anyways, this kind of like inspired me to make this video in the first place, because like I said, it kind of made me change my opinion on this show. And you guys are probably saying, well, just because you saw an account of somebody else presenting a different opinion, you just automatically change your opinion because of what people have said and that it is a bad show, and you just believed it like that. Well, here, this comes to like part B of this first part of my video. So here's the thing I want to critique about the She-Ra fandom, because I feel like it should be said. Here's the thing. The thing that bothers me about the fandom is how they completely ignore everything that Adora has been through. They either laugh at it, they either make jokes about it, they either think it's cute what they're doing, and they think of everything that Catra is doing to Adora as a flirtatious gesture. They think that they're basically flirting with each other anytime they go into a fight, anytime that Catra shows any sort of violence to Adora. They think of that as flirting. They think of that as them trying to get each other's attention, and I think that's disgusting. And I think I found the root of the problem to this. It's because they hear the word representation. When they hear that word, they think that this ship is good, that Catra and Adora are completely healthy, that they're completely made for each other. And this part honestly kind of scary. So imagine just for a second, Catra is being played in the role of a male character, and Adora is just Adora. She just keeps her gender. I'm pretty sure a lot more people would probably find issues with this, but because this is two girls, they don't find issues with it. If this was a heterosexual relationship that's being portrayed here, nobody would tolerate any of the abuse that Catra is giving to Adora if she was a man. And even the other way around. I feel like, I feel like people have come to custom with that thing nowadays. So even with the genders reversed, with like a girl doing this to a male, people would still think it's unhealthy, and then they would put a stop to this. They would criticize it. But because this is two girls, a homosexual relationship, that people don't bat an eye. And that's honestly scary, because it's for the thing where it just kind of shows that since it's a gay relationship, nobody bats an eye about all the other problems within this relationship. And let me make things clear. I am not against any representation at all. I think representation is a beautiful thing. It really is. Except when it portrays a certain minority group in a bad light, or I guess in this case not really a bad light, more like, I guess, portrayed as just wrong, I guess, it could cause problems. Anything that's unhealthy in a toxic heterosexual relationship also applies to homosexual relationships. There are no double standards. We need to pay attention to the toxicity in homosexual relationships as well. Just because you hear the word representation, that doesn't automatically make it good. And here's the thing about this. I do remember feeling a little terrified about Catra's wrongdoings with Adora. I remember how I felt during the show. The show itself is sort of like a toxic person, as you will, because it convinces you, it kind of gaslights you that since this is a gay ship, It's good. I remember when Catra first said her declaration of love to Adora, saying how she loves her and that she always has loved her, and for just once, please stay. And then the scene where she comes back to reality, saves Catra with that shield thing with her sword. She asks, like, do you really love me or whatever? Catra's just like, you're such an idiot. When she said you're such an idiot, that scared me for a second, because anytime she called Adora an idiot, it was in such negative connotation, as a threat, putting her down before she strikes an attack. At that moment, I remember feeling super scared that Catra would probably either leave Adora behind or do something terrible in that moment in general. It was like I was stepping on eggshells when I saw that scene. But then the minute they kissed, it still didn't feel safe. It still didn't. It felt like I was being tricked. It felt like I was being manipulated. And I remember that feeling. I don't know how many other people had that feeling where they felt like they were stepping on eggshells on that scene, but I did. I absolutely felt eggshells when I was like seeing that scene, because I didn't trust Catra, especially because after everything she did. And you know what? Let's talk about everything Catra has done.
What did I ever do to you?
Ever since Adora left the rebellion, Catra was at her worst. If anything, I kind of see Catra as basically Shadow Weaver. Shadow Weaver was only using Adora as a weapon half of the time. Only saw her for what she could do. So did Catra. She saw her as She-Ra, not as Adora like she used to. And not only that, Catra repeatedly was in Adora's head, gave Adora so much trauma, and was ultimately her biggest object that was holding her back. Aside from Shadow Weaver, of course. But Catra, of course, is no better. In fact, I think it's worse because Catra, of course, does somewhat care for Adora somewhere. But the fact that we're supposed to believe that, and also that she's in love with her, yet she's showing these abusive things. Well, we know Shadow Weaver, of course, is a bad person. Even Adora knows that, and that she has always known that ever since she was a kid. But this is basically just a toxic relationship that's been building up for years between Adora and Catra. But then Catra finally snapped and became her Shadow Weaver 2.0. Catra has physically abused Adora, emotionally abused Adora, and mentally abused her. And like I said, she was supposed to be in love with her. The fact that she was in love with her the whole time, yet she manipulated her, hit her, scratched her, all these different things. And we're supposed to believe that it's all love? How am I supposed to believe that this whole time she was in love? It's really scary to think with that mindset while looking back at this show, realizing that all of these things she did was because she loved her. Doesn't that rub anybody the wrong way? So Catra, probably one of the most beloved characters in the franchise, and just saying that sentence really bothers me, because we really shouldn't be praising Catra's actions. And the worst thing about Catra's character, though, is if we just deleted the last season, she would have made a really good character. I honestly feel really upset that they kind of gave her that quote-unquote redemption arc, but we're gonna talk about her redemption arc a little bit later. For now, I just want to talk about why she should have just stayed a villain. So, the thing that I actually do want to compliment the show about that I didn't get a chance to in the first video where I talked about She-Ra is how much Catra should have just stayed a villain. It would have been so much more of a I wouldn't say like a powerful thing in the show, or actually yeah, I am going to say a powerful thing, because I am going to bring another point of how her staying a villain would have really improved on Adora's arc. So the thing that I do like about what they showed in Catra's whole character is the whole flashbacks with her and Adora. The reason why I say that is because it just kind of it would have been so good for them to use that as an explanation as to why Catra is the way she is, and that's it. And we see in those flashback scenes how much she was abused by Shadow Weaver, being talked down as and being talked to as less than by Shadow Weaver, and as a result we kind of see her kind of acting violent as a child, even to her friend Adora, who probably was like the only person that could handle her violence. And here's the thing that I liked about this. I'm no psychiatrist, but usually when children are exposed to such trauma as a young age, I'm like 90% sure that many of them will probably will have some sort of violent behavior growing up, or at least in some cases, depending on how severe the trauma is, or depending on like the mental state of the child, I suppose. So but I like the addition and the idea of her being violent as a child, including with the whole trauma that Shadow Weaver has put upon her while she was still young. The reason why is because I feel like it just kind of shows that she was like kind of set up to be the villain even when she was in her younger years. So I want to compare this with a show that I don't really like comparing stuff with, because I feel like it's really unfair, but I feel like I should talk about it anyways. So recently I watched Avatar, and yeah, I said recently, yeah, I just watched it. Please don't judge me, but at least I liked it. It's a really good show. I loved it. It was like one of the most amazing shows I have ever watched. But the thing that I like about that show is like it's like how much screen time and how much information that we got on each of the characters. And one of the characters that I really did appreciate was Azula, because like I said, I'm no psychiatrist, but I really liked how they portrayed how she was kind of violent as a child, and even more so, a little bit more than Catra, because I remember she would kind of do worse stuff than Catra, I think. Not like worse to the point where like she does like kind of kills someone or whatever. The thing that I do like about that is that it kind of shows like the whole mental state of a child when they were exposed to such trauma as a child. And I feel like that shows that they really did put much thought in, a lot of thought in such a villain like that. And for Catra, it would have worked perfectly. And even when she's like older, it would kind of make sense as to why she does the things she does. She wants to be recognized. She wants to be looked upon as more than other than less than, which is what Shadow Weaver has convinced her all her life. And she wants that, and combine that with her violent behavior, I feel like that's perfect to set her up as a villain. But the thing that I don't like about that is how she that could kind of be fixed, yet her violent behavior still kind of remains, because we still see pushing with Adora during season 5. We still see her kind of putting Adora down, and that's honestly kind of first of all, that's really unhealthy, but it just kind of ruins the whole stuff. But here's what I would have done in order to make a better redemption arc. So I want to bring up another show that I feel like did their redemption, quote unquote, better than how they did for Catra. And I feel like it would have worked better. So I used to watch this show called Lego Ninjago, and by used to, I mean I decided to check it out because I don't know who it was who recommended it to me, but I think it was like a friend, maybe someone online. I don't know. Regardless, I decided to check it out, and you know, it's not my type of show, so I never bothered to go back to it. However, there is one scene that absolutely stood out to me, and I think it really did do their whole writing for to their own villain more than how they written Catra when she as her being a villain. So there's this villain in like the later seasons of Ninjago. Her name is Harumi, and you know, the main character is like Lloyd Garmadon. He's like the green ninja or whatever, and you know, he meets Harumi, and then you know, he starts falling in love with her. And I don't know, they went to this like mission or something to do with like the main villain, who's Garmadon, and then Harumi ends up betraying him, and then she goes off working with Garmadon as well, until there's this one scene. This is the scene that stood out to me, that I feel like they did really good, because I said quote unquote redemption because it's like their last ditch efforts of like making Harumi having like that sense of humanity that I feel like Catra would have given if it was like this. So basically the scene is basically Harumi helping out this family getting out of a building, because her whole backstory with Harumi is that since she's an adoptive princess, of course, she had previous parents who also died the same way that is being presented in the scene, where like they have to give Harumi up so then she can live while her parents are in a building being left to die. So Harumi sees this family in that similar situation that she was in when she was a child, and she wanted to help that family. And what stood out to me is that like it was a redemption for herself, not for her connection with Lloyd or the other ninja people or whatever. It was a redemption for herself, and wasn't even a complete redemption. And after that, she dies. I think it's similar to how they treated Shadow Weaver. She had that one last heroic thing, the only heroic thing that she's ever done in her life, before she passed away. I feel like for Catra it would have worked better, especially because there's a strong emphasis in the scene where she was trying to help Glimmer out to get back to Adora and Bo, because she says, I want to do one good thing in my life. I feel like it would have been such a powerful scene if Catra actually did die. So let's say maybe she won't die. Maybe she'll stay alive. However, there's no hope for her coming back. She's under Horde's control, and it's basically too late for her. I feel like it would have been such a more powerful thing. Not only would it also give that sense of humanity in Catra, but I also think it would be helpful for Adora's arc. Because for Adora, her problem is that she needs to move on from Catra. Move on from a terrible place, from a toxic environment that's holding her back and using her as a weapon. When truthfully, she's not a weapon. She is her own individual person, and she's worth more than what she can serve for others. That's her whole character arc. And for Catra to finally die or completely separated from Adora, where there's absolutely no way she could come back even if she wanted to, it sort of gives Adora that sting, that finally, that she can move on. The chain is broken, and that's when she'll finally feel like she is something, not a weapon. It's just too bad that they had to make them be a couple at the end. That just makes it worse, honestly. It really does. Because Catra did not deserve that happy ending. Adora deserves her own happy ending without Catra in it. Alright, so I want to finish this video off talking about the show creator, ND. So, ND, you really don't know anything, do you? So, the thing about ND is, you know, they're white, So they happen to have some, very stereotypically written characters within their show, and dare I say, also kind of racist. So people have been noticing this, and I think it's great that they're all noticing it. Except, it just kind of bothers me that there's a lack of POC within the actual writer's room of the show. So I feel like ND should have, fixed that, or at least, try to, get someone to help them out with writing these characters. So I want to briefly talk about, what's wrong with these characters. Now, I just want to say really quick, I mentioned this before, I do not, of course, do not represent everybody. So I just want to let you guys know, so then there's no confusion. And if there's any mistakes that I'm going to say what I'm about to say, feel free to correct me in the comments. Of course, everything I'm about to say comes from reliable sources, including the TikTok that I've mentioned before, because I feel like it is a reliable source to use. So anyways, first of all, I want to talk about the characters Lonnie and Natasha. So they're like the only two black girls in the show, yet they're written stereotypically. The reason why I say that is because people have started to have a problem with how they are written, and how they're written is basically both of them being aggressive, and they tend to lash out at people a little bit. So people saw that and realized that this is kind of falling into the angry black girl stereotype. So after that, we have Glimmer, and Glimmer apparently is supposed to be Asian, yet people also have a problem with this because of how they made Glimmer's skin tone. And yeah, of course, tan Asians exist, which apparently was an argument that ND, I believe, or somebody in the writer's room, who said that, oh no, Glimmer is just like a tanned Asian. Well, like I said, tanned Asians of course do exist. It's just people have a problem with this because it doesn't look like what Glimmer is being drawn as. It's like a kind of orangish color, and it's just kind of rubs people the wrong way, and it's just ND should have fixed that. And also we also have Mermista. Now Mermista is like apparently, as much as, okay, so I don't know her exact ethnicity. All I know is that like she's like a brown girl, okay? And but the closest I can find of what Mermista is that apparently she's like Indian or like South Asian or something like that, but I'm not gonna make any assumptions. So let's just say she's like a brown girl. So people have like an issue with Mermista because she's a brown girl that's being portrayed as lazy and just doesn't care about anything. So yeah, that's not good. And now all of those are within the show. Imagine how bad it is outside of the show. So ND apparently made an insensitive comment again for Bo. I'm not gonna repeat what they said because it's, I don't know, it's just very uncomfortable. It's just very it's just messed up. I will not feel great saying it, and neither am I going to show a video of when they said it. However, if you want to see the video for yourself, I guess you can do that. I'm not going to stop you, but just for the sake of my own audience who's kind of sensitive about that kind of stuff, I of course won't show it. So ND, seriously, you need to think about what you say, what you write before you put it out there in public. And it's just, I don't know, it's just unbelievable to me, like how I didn't see this before. And it's honestly really messed up, like they should have done a better job. They really should have. So ND has done all those offenses against the whole POC characters within their show, and of course that is bad. Of course, absolutely. They really need to think about what they're writing before they write it. So, and especially with that whole Bo joke, they need to think about what they're going to say before they say it, because that it is, I don't even know what to say for that. It's just why? But the thing that I also want to bring to your attention is honestly the most toxic thing about Catradora, because I want to talk about Catradora again before the video ends, before I close off. So honestly, the most scariest thing about Catradora is not everything that I just said when I talked about Catradora. It's because it's fictional. It's not real. It's like two animated girls. They're pixels. They're not real, of course. But honestly, the most scariest thing about this ship is that it's actually based off of ND's relationship with their significant other. This honestly is extremely scary to think about. It just raises questions. So this means that their current partner is just like Catra, abusive, putting Adora down, always treating her like she's hers, telling her to stay, to always being just overall just abusive to Adora, and ND is like telling us that this is how their relationship is with their current partner right now. It's honestly kind of terrifying to think about, and it just makes Catradora even worse and a lot more scary. And it honestly kind of made me like feel bad for ND for a split second, but also not, because they, like I said, they really need to think about what they write in their show. They need to realize right from wrong. They need to realize what they're saying, what they're doing, and what they're showing to the public, because it really is like a bad thing. It really is. And it's just it's honestly extremely troubling when I found out about this whole thing. And this is why I said, it's honestly kind of relieving that a lot more people are seeing the flaws with Catradora. And my only hope is that NT realizes these flaws with the ship, and maybe reconsider things. Let's just hope that that's a possibility. Anyway, so do I hate this show? Honestly, kind of. Like I said, my opinion has changed about the show, and I really don't like what the show represents, how it made me feel, how the fandom treats this show. I think it's absolutely disgusting what both the fandom and the show does. And do I hate the show creator ND? Well, I don't like them. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I don't like them, and they're kind of ignorant on everything that they show, and I really hope that they understand that what they did with this show is not okay, regarding with the whole Catradora thing, regarding with the whole representation of racial equality. I guess it's not good at all. And honestly, I really can't thank enough to those two TikTok accounts. They're really good, and they don't watch my videos, but if they just somehow watch my video, what's up, guys? Did you like my video? I really try to spread the word of how bad this show is, because it really is bad. And ND is a piece of trash, honestly, and everything in this show is just it's bad. It really is, and the fandom's bad, everything's bad. And I really recommend that you guys check those TikTok accounts out for more information. I am just basically like the megaphone, being all like, Catradora is bad, the POC and Shira is bad, Shira's bad, ND is bad, everything is bad. That's basically what you could take away from this video. But if you want to get into more details, I will link their TikTok account in the description below, so then you guys can check them out, because they're really good. I really recommend them, for real. So then, it's good to be educated. Anyways, tell me what you guys think about Shira. Like it, hate it, indifferent, or did I open your eyes with this video? I really want to know, because I really wanted to make this video for a long time, except I was a little scared, admittedly, because I know how the fandom is. It's really bad. So, yeah, hopefully I did the anti-Catradora shippers justice. So, that is all for this video. The winged unicorn is gonna fly away. I'll see you guys in the next video, because hopefully I can be consistent now. Bye, guys.